Yo, what's up guys, we're back at it. We are in Sequoia National Park in Utah, and I want to give you my 10,000 mile update on the Kawasaki Z900RS Cafe. Alright, so right now we are at 11,287 miles on the Kawasaki Z900RS Cafe. And let me tell you, this bike is tight as a drum. Alright, I got it brand new at the beginning of 2025. And the reason I have so many miles is because this is my second cross-country road trip. But let me tell you, this thing is superb. No faults, really, but I'll give you my honest update here. So I did have 3 oil changes so far. I had one at the initial 600 mark, which they recommend after you break in the engine. You have to keep the RPMs under 5,000 they recommend for the first 600 miles, and then they check on the bike, make sure everything is normal. If something's abnormal, then that factory warranty will kick in. Thankfully it didn't have to. And then I got an oil change after my first cross-country road trip from Florida to San Diego and back. That was about 7,500 miles. And then before this trip, at around 8,500, I just got another oil change just because I didn't want to have to worry about it on this road trip going from Florida up to like Washington State. So far, all I had done, I changed up the tires at around 7,500 miles when I got back. There was no issues with them, but I just wanted to be on top of things. The tread felt good after the cross-country road trip, no problems there. No problems with the chain either. I did try to lube the chain anytime that it rained, or after like a really long day of just grinding down highway miles. Just don't want to over lube the chain because that could kind of gunk up the chain and sprocket. I did wind up switching up the mirrors. As you can see, these are Motorsport MoView mirrors, kind of much sleeker looking than the big round Dumbo ears that are on the stock Kawasaki Z900RS Cafe. Now, I know that one's more nostalgic because it looks exactly like the 1972 Z1, but I just like these look. These ones are billet aluminum and no glass, which is really cool. Look at this view, which is also really cool. Look at that. Now, I also did switch up the seat. The initial seat was about 1.5 inches higher, wider at the near your thighs, and much harder. So this new seat is a Japanese JDM seat. I can put a link down below for it. Let me pull over here since these guys are going so slow, and you can take a look at this view here. One thing to note, this bike, it runs hot. This is my first summer with the bike, and initially I was like, whoa, something feels off. That's because when the bike's hot, the fan's on, and then it's turbocharging that hot air right towards you. So, whoa, these are tight. Oh, hold on, don't pull in the clutch, don't be brave. There you go. Yeah, this bike runs notoriously warm with that fan blowing the hot air at you, but don't be alarmed, that's normal. As long as the meter on the right, the temperature gauge is normal, then you're fine. Even though it feels like it's freaking 200 degrees of hot lava blowing at you, as long as the temperature gauge is right and smack dab in the middle, you're good. I did ride this bike on the other end of the temperature spectrum. I rode it in -4 degree weather earlier in the winter, and then that was with the standing temperature. So when you're riding, it probably felt like it was like -20, super cold. And I was in that for 5 hours. This is during Texas, the Texas winter. I was riding 5 hours on the highway, which was more like the whole trip wound up taking like 9 hours because I had to pull over every like hour because it was freezing my buns off. One other thing that happened along my last road trip is that when I was parking near the left kickstand, there's these 2 little tubes, and I guess my shoe got caught on one of the tubes and it unplugged it, and then this black liquid started leaking out, and I was like, what is this? I had no clue. I was nervous. It was like engine oil or something like that. I was Googling all types of things, and then I guess it has to do something with like the kickstand sensor. I have no clue, or maybe not. Maybe you can let me know. One thing to note about the Kawasaki is that the throttle is pretty twitchy. It's either off or on. It's like, even when you're gentle and gingerly with it, it's kind of twitchy, so you have to get used to it and kind of finesse it. All right, it's you gotta just ease on through. You can get the bike ECU flash and then get rid of that. The motor in the Z900RS Cafe, it's the detuned version of the Kawasaki Z900. So whereas that bike has more power on the top end, this bike has more power in the middle, so it's more usable on the roads rather than the track. The engine braking is very, very strong. That's a good thing, but it's not good for the people behind you because your brake lights aren't activated when you're engine braking. You can hear that. You see that? The engine braking can bring you to a complete stop in no time. I like it, but they do have that device that you could hook up to your bike that automatically turns on your brake lights when you let off the throttle. Look at these turns, jeez. Whoa! The engine braking on this bike is really strong, but the actual brakes are fantastic. Whoa, hold on. Yes, dual disc brakes in the front, single in the back. Really nice bite to them. Not to the point where it feels like you're gonna flip over the front handlebars, but you never feel not confident in the brakes working. Well, cheers to 10,000 miles and tens of thousands more. I highly recommend checking out the Kawasaki Z900RS Cafe if you're looking for a great sport touring cruiser that does it all, from the canyon carving to cafe. This bike is made for you. Check it out. Love you. Bye bye.